Are you able to see the screen, students? Screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Screen is visible, students. Okay. In the last class, we discussed about the ladder diagram, that is the various types of programming languages such as functional block diagram, ladder diagram, instruction list, okay, structured text programming, right? The various types of programming languages used for the PLCs. Today we'll be starting with the topic on relay type instructions. As we know that relay is electrical device, right, wherein when we pass the current to one part of the circuit, that will control the current in the another part of the circuit. Okay, it's just a coil, it's just like an electromagnet. We know what is an electromagnet. When we pass the current through the coil or the wire, then there is a magnetic field surrounding that coil or the wire. That is what we call as the electromagnet. Due to this electromagnetic action, what is happening is when the current is passed through the coil of the relay, due to the electromagnetic action, the contacts will be closed or they will be open. The contacts are either getting closed or they're getting open. Okay, because of this, that is allowing the control of the current in the other part of the circuit, in the second part of the circuit. Okay, so in the second circuit, the current is controlled by controlling the on and off of the contacts. The contacts getting closed, the current flows in the other part of the circuit and it controls there. If the contacts are getting open, then the current cannot flow, and again there will be control of the current in the second circuit that the relay is supposed to control. Okay, this is the what is the basic definition of the relay. Here we will be using these terms such as contacts and coil, okay, in the description of the relay type of instructions. As we know that ladder diagram, it is nothing but it is a set of instructions. It has its own predefined or set of instructions, okay, meant to perform a suitable function. Each instruction that we are using in the ladder diagram performs a particular function. Just like how the every instruction in C language or in any other language are meant to perform a particular operation. Similarly, similarly, the instructions which are used in the PLC ladder diagram, they are meant to perform a specific function. Okay, that is what we call as the ladder diagram or the ladder rung. Each rung consists of certain set of instructions. They consist of certain set of instructions used to create the controller program. They are used to create a program which controls the operation of the entire PLC. These instructions, they are called as symbols. The instructions, for every instruction there is a particular symbol with which it is represented. Okay, so this symbol is representing whether the this instruction symbol represents whether the this instruction symbol are arranged in such a way that, or they are present in such a way that every instruction has its own symbol, right? And this particular type of terminology that is used is called as contact symbology. Contact symbology. Okay, because it consists of the various symbols for every instruction. Representation of contacts and coils are the basic symbols of the logic ladder diagram instruction set. Every instruction set of the ladder diagram consists of what are called as the contacts and coils. They are represented in form of a contacts and coil arrangement. The fundamental symbols are used to convert from the relay logic to the ladder diagram logic. There are three symbols which convert from the relay ladder diagram logic to the that is logic used by the ladder diagram. So these symbols are examine if closed, XIC, examine if open, XIO, and output energize, OTE. These are the three symbols. Okay, remember these three instructions. First instruction is examine if closed, XIC, examine if open, XIO, and output energize, OTE. The name of this instruction itself tells their functionality. Okay, if we just look into their names, that itself is conveying some message, conveys what the function is performed by these different instructions. Let us see in detail the working of these different instructions. Each of these instructions relate to a single bit of PLC memory. These instructions refer to a, or the instructions consist of some memory location. In the instruction there is a memory location which is written along with the instruction, right? That memory location is the nothing but the memory address, or that memory location is the address in the memory location where the status of the different input and output devices are stored. This is how the instructions are used in the PLC controlling. That is, every instruction, along with the instruction there is a memory location written, right? And that memory location is nothing but the memory location in the PLC where the status of the different input and output devices are stored. Okay. Each of these instructions relate to a single bit of PLC memory that is specified by the instructions address. The symbol for examine if closed. This examine if closed is also called as examine on instruction. Another name for examine if closed is examine on instruction. Again, look at the name, examine if closed. That means it is going to check something. It checks something. What it checks? It checks if the contact is closed or open. It is going to check whether the contact is closed or in open condition, right? The XIC instruction, which is also called the examine on instruction, it operates like a normally open relay contact. Okay, the XIC instruction, examine on instruction, it works just like the normally open relay contact. That is, when the relay contact is normally open, it is in open state. When you contact is closed, when you energize the relay, when you pass the current, suitable current through the relay, what will happen? The contact will get closed. The contact will get closed and the current flows to the other part of the circuit. Okay, this XIC instruction is similar to the normally open relay switch, normally open relay contact, or the normally open relay switch. Associated with each XIC instruction is a memory bit linked to the status of an input device. That is what it is. For every instruction comes along with the memory location. There is a memory location or the address written along with the instruction, and that memory location is the memory location in the PLC, inside the PLC, where the status of the input and output devices is mentioned. If the status of input device is true or on, then a 1 is stored in the memory location in the PLC. If the status of the input device is 0 or off, then off or false, then a 0 is stored in the memory of the PLC. Okay. This is the diagram which shows examine if closed instruction or the examine on instruction. What you are looking at the topmost is the symbol of examine if closed instruction or examine on instruction, symbol for the XIC instruction. And this is what, students, can you tell me what is this from 0 to 15? Yes, please. What is this 0 to 15 here, students? Students, are you here? Students? Students, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
so please tell me, what is this from 0? What is this from 0 to 15? 0 to 15. What is this called? You're taken up in 2 or 3 classes about this function of this, or what is the this structure called as? What is the name of this structure? This from 0 to 15. What is it called?
Module. Input output
Yes,
module.
this is the input output module. Correct. You are nearing to the answer. This is input module, right? Or the output module. This strip, whatever it is called the input output module strip. And this particular is called as the image table. It's called as the image table. Is it not? Image table. If it is for the input, it is called input image table. If the image table is used for the indication of status of the output device, it is called as output image table. Okay. So input image table or the output image table. Here the bit numbers are from 0 to 15. Total 16 bits. We can store the status of 16 input output devices, because it has the numbering from 0 to 15. That means at a stretch we can store the status of 16 input devices here. Here which input device is stored, or the status of which device is stored? Let us see. I:1/4. I:1/4. This is, we are operating a switch. Okay, it is normally open. I am pressing the switch. When I press the switch, it gets closed. The switch gets closed and the current flows, or there is a continuity established between the input and the output. Logical connectivity or logical continuity is true when the switch is pressed. Okay, so there is a continuity between from left to right, continuity between the input and the output. The switch is pressed. Because of the pressing of the switch, what is happening here? What is stored in bit number 4? Why it is stored in only bit number 4? Why not in some other bits here? There are other bits also, is it not? 0 to 15. Why it is stored in only bit number 4? Why not in other bits? Any idea? Why it is stored in only bit number 4? Why not in other bits? Any idea here? Because look here, what is mentioned here? The address of the input I:1/4. That means the address of the input status of the device, input device, the input device status is slot number 1, bit number 4. This 1 stands for slot and 4 stands for the bit number. Correct? Therefore, in this slot, this is our slot number 1, whatever is being shown here, and the bit number is bit number 4. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bit number 4, the status is stored. Okay. Here you can see the green mark. This green mark indicates that the instruction interpreted as true condition. The instruction that is interpreted as true condition, it has interpreted the true condition because there is logical connectivity or continuity from the left to the right, correct? That is why they are shown with the, here we have shown with the green mark, which is indicating that the instruction is interpreted as the true condition. And also the same is shown as I:1/4. This is how it operates here. Then similarly, if the switch is open, the same switch, I am releasing it. Initially I had pressed a switch, it was originally in the open position. Then after some time I am releasing the switch. What will be the change? The change is, instead of storing 1 in the same bit position number 4, it will be storing a 0. The reason is, it is an open switch. The condition is false. There is no logical continuity between the input and the output. There is no continuity or the connectivity between the input and the output, and hence it is storing a 0 in that particular bit position. And here there is no green symbol, or we are not marking with the green coloring because it is a false condition. Instruction is interpreted as false. Clear, yes friends? This is how the XIC instruction, examine if closed or examine on instruction, works. And this is the symbol of the XIC instruction. Remember this symbol for the XIC instruction. Okay. The instruction, actually, what is the main function of the processor here? What is the job of the processor? The job of the processor is to identify the, that is what bit is coming from the, or whatever is the bit being stored in the status of the input image table. It identifies that, it extracts that, it reads the bit from the, input image table, that particular bit position, bit location, it reads the bit. Okay, after reading that bit, it sends it to the program. It sends it to the program, that is ladder rung program, ladder rung instruction. The processor will send the bit, whatever it is reading from the status of the input image table. It sends it to the, where it is sending? It is sending to the ladder program or the program that is written by the user, right? The program will execute according to the how the user have written. Accordingly, it will execute, and then it will provide some output. It is providing certain output. That output is used to energize the output coil. That output is used to energize the coil which is connected at the output, or to control the field devices which are connected to the output terminal. Sorry. So this is how it functions here. The job of the processor or the task of the processor in execution of the instructions. It does this by examining the bit at the memory location specified by the address in the following manner. The memory bit is set to 1 or 0 depending on the status of the input device or the status of the relay associated with that bit. That is, if the input device is in on state or the relay if it is in on state, then the memory bit will be 1. The bit stored in the memory will be 1. If the input device is in off state, then the bit stored in the memory will be 0. A 1 corresponds to true status and 0 corresponds to false condition. 1 means true condition. If 1 is stored in the memory bit, it is true condition. If 0 is stored in the memory bit, it indicates false condition. Okay. When the examine on instruction is associated with the physical input, this examine on instruction, what it is doing, it is checking the status of the input switch. It is checking the condition of the input switch, whether the switch is in pressed condition or released condition, the switch is closed condition or open condition. Okay, it is examining, it is checking, it is called as evaluating. It is evaluating. Okay, the instruction will be set to 1 when a physical input is present. If the input is present, then the instruction will be set to 1. It is true condition. If the instruction is applied with the voltage, if the input switch is applied with the voltage, the instruction will be set to 1. It is true condition. If the voltage is not applied to the input, that means it is in open state. Switch is in open state. If voltage is applied, it comes to closed state. This voltage is not applied to the switch, it is in open state. If it is in open state, then the instruction will be set to 0 and it is called as false condition. Fine. If the instruction memory bit is 1 or 2, this instruction will allow rung continuity through itself. That's what I mentioned. There will be continuity between the input terminals and the output terminals. Whenever there is a true condition being established at the input, that will establish a continuity from the input to the output devices. Okay, like a closed relay contact. The instruction has a 0 in the memory bit, that is false, then it's just the opposite, right? If there is a 1 being stored, a true being established, a true being set, true condition, then there is a continuity. If there is a 0 or the open switch at the input, then there is false condition, then there will be no continuity between the input and the output. There is connectivity, or the input will be lost. There will not be any continuity. And this is as good as the open relay contact. If there is a continuity, it is a closed contact. If there is no continuity, it is a open relay contact. Next one is a symbol for the examine if open instruction. Examine if open instruction. Let us see that. Examine if open instruction symbol. This is how it looks like. What is the difference here? Can we just recollect? This is symbol for XIC. Examine if closed. Okay. If there is a cross mark here, cross line in between these two, right? In between these two brackets, right? It is good as one opening bracket and another closing bracket. In between these two brackets, if there is a crossed line, then that is the symbol for the examine if open or examine off instruction. Okay, that is the difference in the symbols between examine if closed XIC and examine if open XIO instructions. It is the symbol for XIO or examine off. Let us check the working of this XIO instruction. Here the switch is pressed. Can anybody predict what may be the function of this? How does it work? Can anybody predict here? Function of this? Can you guess what may be the function of this? Yes, please. Looking into this diagram, what comes into your mind? Looking this diagram, what comes to your mind? Yes, students. You are seeing something here, is it not? IA1:1/4 is connected, and we are pressing the switch that is being stored as 1. Okay, and it is considered as false condition. What you are observing here? Yes. Yes, please. Students, are you here, students? Inoj?
Yes, sir.
D'Souza? Okay. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
just guess, Inoj, what may be the working here? Like, just on point about this. Yes, try. Give a try.
Any system will be off.
Off. Okay, fine.
Make it off.
Make it off. Okay, fine. Any other answers? Praveen Helavi? Praveen Helavi? Any other answer? Okay. Just give a try. Harsh? Harsh? Harsh Saval? Any other answer? Harsh? Haldankar Pratik Jitendra? Any answer, Haldankar Pratik Jitendra? Yes, please. Okay, I'll explain here. Previously, what was the condition for examine if closed? Let's check that. Examine if closed, what we are doing here, we are pressing the switch, and that is stored as 1, and that is a true condition. Here we are having the symbol which is having the crossed line in between this open bracket and the closed bracket. There's a crossed line. Okay, that means this examine if open, it is having the function opposite to that of the examine if closed. The meaning of opposite function is that if the switch is pressed, right, that is considered as the false condition. It is considered as false condition. It is interpreted as false. Okay, that is a green one because it is examining if open. Correct? That is considered as the false condition. Then if the switch is open, that is considered as the true condition. If switch is closed, it is interpreted as false. Just the opposite functionality is that of the XIC. Then if the switch is open, it is considered as true condition. It is the NOT operation, what we are usually calling it, works like a NOT operation, NOT of XIC. Okay, if it is pressed, the NOT of press is false. There we have taken it as true in XIC. So NOT of true is false. Then if it is open, there we have taken it as in XIC false. NOT of false is true. NOT of false is true. Is it not? This is how it works. Then the other things are same. I:1/4. It is the input switch. I stands for input. Then this is the designator. This is called as a separator. Slash is a separator. 1/4. 1 indicates slot number and 4 indicates the bit number. Then this is the status which is in the input image table. The various bits from 0 to 15. Here the switch is open, hence it is storing it as 0. The storage of bit remains the same. There is no change. But the way in which it is interpreted, true or false, that is different. Look here. Here closed condition, it is storing it as 1 only. But what is 1 here? 1 is false condition. For XIC, 1 is true, 0 is false. For XIO, examine if open or examine off instruction, 1 means it is false, 0 means it is true. Remember like this, okay, for simple remembering. Okay. XIO instruction is called examine off instruction also, and it operates like a normally closed relay contact. Okay, normally closed relay contact. Initially it will be closed, then we are evaluating whether it is a true condition or false condition based on the off of the switch or on of the switch. Associated with the XIO instruction is a memory root. Again, it's the same thing. For every XIO instruction, in the instruction, we are along with the instruction, we are mentioning the memory location, and that memory location is nothing but it is the memory location in the PLC where the status of that input device is stored. Okay, there is one-to-one correlation between the instruction memory location and the memory location which is stored in the memory location which is stored in the PLC. Just 1 second, there is some frequent calls. Just one, please. Sorry for the interruption, students. So here, examine of instruction, it operates like a normally closed relay contact. Right? The instruction asks the PLC processor will check the status of the input bit, and accordingly it will give the output based on the execution of the ladder rung instruction. As with any other input, the memory bit is set to 1 or 0 depending on the status of the input device. Of course, it has to do that. If the input is 1, then it is stored as 1 in the memory. If the input is 0, then it is stored as 0 in the memory. True condition and false condition. If there is a true condition, then there is continuity between the input, the processor, and the output. If there is false condition, then there is no question of continuity from the input to the output. That is, here 1 is represented as the false condition, it is interpreted as false condition, and the 0 is represented as true condition. Examine on instruction interprets a 1 as true and 0 as false. The symbol for output energize is shown in the figure below. So there is one more instruction. Till now we have seen 2 instructions. One is examine if closed, examine if open, then output energized, OTE, output energize. Okay, these are the 3 instructions which check or which evaluate the status of the input devices. Fine. In the next figure, we are seeing the symbol for the output energize instruction. It is here like this. This is the symbol for output energize instruction symbol. It is a coil. Remember, students, the input switches are represented as contacts, or the input devices are represented as contacts, and the output devices are represented always as the coil in this relay ladder diagram. In the relay ladder diagram description, the input switches are always represented as the contacts, okay, and the output devices are represented always as the coil. Okay, It's just the convention being used by the ladder diagram manufacturers. I mean, the people who develop the software, the ladder diagram software, they maintain a convention that inputs are represented as contacts and the output always as the coils. Here we are having the output data table as we have the input image table. Similarly, we are having the output image data table here. This is the output model strip. Okay, then there is a program, because if the output has to be energized, it cannot do on its own. It doesn't mean that input is turned on, immediately the output will be turned on. It doesn't happen like that all the way. Okay, what is necessary is if the input is turned on, okay, but that input status is first read by the processor. That is, it is read by the program that is written by the user. We are inputting the data to that. Okay, now there is a program you have written in C language, say for adding two numbers. Okay, you have written the program, fine, but without giving the input value, whether it will process that? No, you have to give the inputs A and B. C is equal to A plus B. You have to give the inputs, then it will add those two numbers, fine, and then it will provide the output. Say 10 plus 20, 30. 30 will be the output, like that, correct? So here the processor, it reads the input from the input devices, then it will execute the program that is written by the user. After executing the program by the user, there is some output being coming out from that program. There is some output from that program after its execution. That output is used for controlling the output devices or for energizing the output devices. Okay, energizing means what? Turning on and off of the output devices or switching on and off of the output devices. There is a program here. This is I:1/1. It indicates that input, it's an input contact. Okay, input contact. Its number, its address is 1, that is slot number 1 in the IO module. Recollect what we studied in the IO module at the beginning, right? The chassis and rack, Allen Bradley chassis and rack, your test question, test question, is it not? Allen Bradley chassis and rack, where the IO module is having say about 128 slots, 128 rack, and each rack is having about 8 slots, that in the Allen Bradley chassis and rack of the IO modules, correct? So like this, here 1/1 means it indicates slot number 1 and bit number 1. Then I:1/4 means slot number 1, bit number 4. Then O:2/1, it is representing the output. O means output, 2 means it's a slot number in the output image table, and 1 means it is the bit number in the output image table. Here in the output data image table, it is storing a 1. It is storing a 1. Where this 1 comes from? It comes from the program. After the program executes, the output of that program is 1. Like just like how the output of the addition of two numbers is 30. The example I gave. Right? Similarly, the status of the output of the program is 1. So that is set here. That is stored as 1 in this particular bit position. And that is going to turn on or off the output devices which are connected to the output module. Okay, so this output device is turned on or off. This is a pilot light here which is connected. So this is turned on or off based on the status of the, that is 1 or 0 stored in the image table file. Then here we are having the input data. The same is holding good for the input image table file also. The status of the switches are closed. When the status of the switches are closed, 1 is stored in bit number 4 and bit number 1 accordingly to the address we have mentioned here. 1:1/1 means slot number 1, bit number 1. That is in bit number 1, 1 is stored. Switch is closed. 1:I/4 means slot number 1, bit number 4. In bit number 4, 1 is stored, which indicates that the switch is closed. They are in closed position. Open means like this. Close means it will be like this. Okay. Open means it will be like this. Okay, of the switch. And if the switch is closed, both will be in contact. Okay, both are in open condition. It is open state. and if both are in contact with each other, that is called as the closed condition, okay, or the closed state. If true logic is established with the input instructions in the rung, the OT instruction is energized and the output device will be energized. Correct? If the input is setting its status, then that is carried on to the processor. The processor will carry on the output to the output device. Like this, there is a chain or the connectivity between the input to the processor and from the processor to the output. Okay. If a true logic path cannot be established, then sometimes what may happen, the input device cannot establish the connectivity because the input condition itself is false. If the condition is false, then that cannot be propagated. It cannot be communicated from the input to the output. The output will be de-energized or the output device will be in off state. Here we have shown the ladder diagram. This is the ladder diagram. How many rungs are there here? There are two rungs, rung 0 and rung 1. This entire from here to here, it is called as one rung. And from this to this, it is second rung. Okay. These are the input contacts and these are the output coils. If this rung has to get executed, then we know that it is executing from left to right. Correct? Allen Bradley uses horizontal scanning. Modicon PLC is used scan. Horizontal scanning is from left to right. Horizontal scanning is from left to right. The scanning is from left to right. Okay. Then vertical scan means the scanning is from top to bottom. If it scans first this I/1, then I/2, I/3, then O/1, then it will come to O/1. Okay. Then second horizontal scanning I/2, I/4, then O/2. If it is vertical scanning, it will go vertically. Okay. That is I/1, O/1, I/2. Then come to the next scan I/2, I/4. Next scan I/3. Then the fourth scan O/1 and O/2. Okay. So like this, it follows horizontal scanning and the vertical scanning methods. The main function of the ladder logic diagram is to control the outputs based on input conditions. Based on the condition of the input, the ladder diagram controls the output. It acts like a controller. Correct? The control is established through the use of the ladder rung instructions. The control is possible with the help of the ladder logic instructions or the ladder rung instructions. So in this ladder rung, it is nothing but some logic, correct? For writing every program, whenever you are writing any program in C language or in any other language, there is certain logic. There's certain logic behind that. Okay. So with that logic, using that logic, you are writing certain instructions. Yes or no? So there is a certain logic behind writing every instruction in the behind writing every instruction with the ladder diagram also. In general, a rung consists of a set of input conditions. There are certain input conditions, okay, based on the input conditions or the contact conditions of the inputs, right? And that is controlling the condition of the output. Each contact or coil symbol is referenced with an address that identifies what is being evaluated and what is being controlled. This is important. You have to know which contact and which coil are meant to evaluate. Evaluate means checking, right? To check whether it is in on state or off state, closed state or open state. Then controlling means providing the output to the output device or energizing the output device or turning on and off the output device based on the output provided by the program, ladder diagram. This is called as controlling. Evaluating means it is checking the status. Controlling means providing the output or energizing or turning on and off of the output devices. The same contact instruction, if let us say we have used one instruction at some part of the program, the same instruction we can use in other parts of the program also. Okay, we can repeat them because they are symbols. In the ladder diagram, it's a contact symbology. It's a symbol. The same symbol we have used at the beginning, we can make use of that at the end of our program also. Number of, now these ladder logic instructions, it depends on what? How many instructions we can make use of? It depends on what? Right? All these depend on the size of the memory location. If the memory location size is more, then we can use many instructions. We can use many instructions. Okay. If the size of the memory is less, then we have to use only limited number of instructions as per the size of the memory. So size of the memory is very important. Different manufacturers provide different memory sizes. If Modicon is providing some memory size, say 64 MB, okay, then Allen Bradley may provide 32 MB, like that. So size of the memory differs from one manufacturer to another manufacturer and from one model to another model. It doesn't remain same for all the manufacturers. Some of the PLCs have more than one output per rung. As we can see in this diagram here, this is our diagram, which shows that in this rung, the third rung, there are two outputs. There are two coils connected. Till now, we saw the rung diagram in which some of the rungs had only, or the most of the rungs were having only one output coil. But in this diagram, we are seeing the third rung, that is rung number 2. It is having two output coils or the two output devices. Okay. Now this, how it evaluates. Okay. It is from left to right. We are following horizontal scanning. If it is, this is say false, this is true, true, it is in series. So this will be in false condition because the input itself is false. Input if itself is in false condition, then how does it propagate to the output? No. Then this is true, this is true, input is true condition, the output will be true. Output will be switched on. Input is true, the output is also true. Then here input is false. But what about the branch here? There's a branching. The branch condition is true. So this is true, and this is true, and hence the both the output devices are energized. Look here. How does this evaluate? We have studied the mixer control problem. Again, your test question, right? There we saw that when temperature and the pressure were conditions were met, the output was energized, right? Or when the stirrer, the mixer, okay, when it was operated by a motor, then also the output was energized. Okay, so it is same as good as that. Here there is false condition, here there is true and true. So of course there is false, but the true is being activated because of the branch here. There is a branch which is having true, and these are two are also true, and hence the output will become true. It evaluates either this condition or this condition. It's a or statement here. When it is in series, it is considered as AND function. When it is in parallel, it is considered as OR condition. This or that, that or this. Series means this and this and this and this, like this. Okay, that is the difference between series connection and the parallel connection. I hope you all are following here, friends. Yes, please. Any difficulties up till now, students? Students, any difficulties up till here?
No, sir. No difficulty.
Following. Okay. Any questions? Any questions, students? Any problem in understanding? Any difficulty? Praveen Helavi, any difficulty? Praveen? No? Okay. Prasad, Hiremat? Any problem in understanding Prasad?
No, sir. No.
Okay, fine. That's the example where more than one output is used in a single rung. So there is a continuity from left to right. A logical path must exist. Then only the output will get energized. That's what we saw just now in the diagram. If there's a continuity from input to output, then only the output will get energized, or it will not happen like that. There is a continuous path or the closed path between input to the output. Continuity is existing. When logical continuity exists in at least one path, the rung condition and output energized instruction are said to be true. This is important. When logical continuity exists in at least one path, that's what we saw in the ladder diagram just now, the last rung. If the continuity is there in at least one of the paths, either one of the two, right, then the rung condition and output energized instruction are said to be in true state. And the other way, if the rung condition and OT instruction are false, if none of the, that is also one important point here. Look here, if this is also not true, if this path is also not true, and if this second branch, this path is also not true, then both the outputs will go false. If this branch is not true and this branch is also not true, then both the outputs will go false. Okay. The processor will evaluate the rung logic and changes the states of the outputs according to the logical continuity of the rungs. That's all about the relay type instruction, students. So in examination, if the question is asked on the relay type instructions, then you all have to start from the fundamentals. Okay, that is what is the contact symbology, right? How the inputs are represented in the form of contacts and outputs are represented in the form of coils. Then there are three main instructions, that is XIC, XIO, and OTE. Examine if closed, examine if open, and output energize. Then using these instructions, you have to explain the function of each instructions here, right? What is the function of XIC instruction, how it works? What is the function of XIO instruction by using this diagram, and what is the function of OTE instruction, output energize instruction, by using this figure. And the relay diagram, this one, ladder rung diagram, has a few points about this ladder diagram that will cover up the points on the relay type instructions. Okay. Next is instruction addressing. So this question on relay type instruction, it may be asked for about 7 marks or 8 marks question that may appear in the examination. Okay. Instruction addressing. Instruction addressing, again the name itself, instruction addressing. That means what is the address or the memory location we are using for that instruction, or which input device is connected to which, each that is the address indicates which PLC input is connected to which input device. That is a field device. Which PLC input is connected to which field input device, that is indicated by this instruction address. Okay, that is instruction address means what? The address of the instruction, the address where the address identifies the function of the instruction. This address of the instruction, it indicates what is the function of the instruction, right? And it also establishes connectivity between the instruction and the bit status which is stored in the PLC memory. Let us see that in detail. The addressing of inputs and outputs depends on the PLC model used. Again, it's the same thing. Which type of addressing you are making use of, it depends on the type of the model. Some models, they make use of different addressing schemes. Some other models, some other manufacturers, they go for some other schemes of or the formats of instruction addressing. The address that is used for storing the instructions, right? Now what I mentioned in the previous topic, in the instruction we are using certain memory location. In the instruction, while writing the instruction, along with the instruction we use certain memory location. That memory location is what? It is this memory location in the PLC where the status of input and output devices are stored. But this in this instruction addressing, this means that it is the address of the instruction. It is the memory location where that instruction is itself stored. Instruction, when it is used with the certain address, say I'm using the instruction xic i/i:1/2, something like this, or I'm using the instruction xic then 1/2, something like this. That is xic 1/2 means the slot number 1, bit number 2. I'm using the memory location of the bit status bit memory location, okay, along with the instruction. Try to understand this, okay. But if I provide the memory location, if I store the instruction itself in some memory location, then that becomes the memory location for that instruction. Suppose it is for xic 1/2 or 1/2 instruction. If I'm storing in some memory location, say I'm storing it in memory location 85H. H means hexadecimal. That means it is from 0 to 15. The counting is from 0 to 15. Okay. If it is decimal, it is from 0 to 9. We have only 10 numbers, 0 to 9, for representation of the decimal numbers. Normal numbers that we are using, they are all decimal numbers, 0 to 9 representation. Okay. Then there are few numbers called as octal numbers, which use the representation from 0 to 7. They use only the numbers from 0 to 7, 8 numbers. That is why it is called as octal. Right? Hexadecimal, if I use the representation, then I use the letter H after the number, which says that it is a hexadecimal number. And let us say the memory location is 85H. In 85H memory location, the instruction is stored. Correct? You write a C program. Whether C program will be stored itself like that? No. There will be some memory locations in the CPU. There will be some memory location in the computer, in your computer, where the different instructions, whatever you have written, they are stored. So that when the program starts executing, it starts with the first memory location in which the first instruction is stored. It executes that. Then comes to second memory location, it executes the second instruction. Comes to a third memory location, executes the third instruction, and like that up till the last instruction in which the last instruction of your program is stored. Right? This is called as instruction addressing. Okay. I hope the point is clear to you all. My point is clear, students. This point about instruction addressing is clear. Yes, students. I hope I have conveyed the message. Yes. Was it understood to you all? Students? Inoch?
Yes, sir.
Was it understood the point? Did you understand here?
Yes, sir. Partly.
Okay, fine. Partly you understood. Why? What was the doubt? What is your doubt here? Inoch? What is the doubt? What question you are having about this? Let us see that. It will be more clear to you. I'll use the diagram here, then it will be clear to you. Okay. Let us see that. Okay. Fine.
Yes.
Good. The next figure shows the addressing format of an Allen Bradley SLC 500 controller. This is how the instruction addressing is represented. Let us see that in detail, then it will be more clear to us what is the meaning of instruction addressing. Here, this is our input module strip, right? We have the switch, the input device, it is in closed position, and the address of this input device is I:3/12. This is the addressing that we are using for the input device. Okay, that means I:3/12. It indicates that it is the input file 1, slot number 3, and bit number 12. That means in the input image table file, this will be stored where? In the bit number 12. So starting from here, if you start from here, the right side, okay, count up till 12. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the bit number 12 is closed switch status is stored. Okay, that is our I:3/12 bit address. So that is the addressing that is used for the input instruction. Input instruction. Okay, input switch, input device. Okay, then here the same is read by the ladder rung instruction. This is our instruction. This reads, how it reads, I:3. I:3. That is, the address for this instruction is I:3. I:3. That means it is the third input. The third input and bit number 12. This is how the instruction addressing is used here. This is what I mean to say instruction addressing. Okay, this is our instruction. This is our instruction. I:3. I:3. 3 means it is input file 1 slot number 3. Then 12 indicates the bit. So this is how they are used, the addresses for the various instructions. Now similarly, if I consider the coil here, output side, O:4. O:4. That is output file. Output file. Okay. So this 4 indicates slot number 4 and this 6 indicates the bit number. Bit number in the output image table file. Correct. Now switch is closed. This is 1. Then this O:4, it's the instruction address for the output instruction, O:4 and this 6. Then that is stored as 1 in the output image table file. Fine. So O:4/6 bit address. Then if it is 1, it is going to energize or it is going to turn on the output device. It turns on the output device. Okay. If it is 1, it turns on the output device. If 0 is stored, it turns off the output device, or the output device will be in off state. Okay. Output file, slot number 4, bit number 6. Slot number 4, bit number 6. Then these are the line voltages, L1 and L2. The rail to rail voltages, whatever are applied, so as to energize the input modules and the output module. Okay. So now it is clear, students, what is meant by addressing here. You got the point here, Inoch?
Yes,
Inoch? Okay, fine. Addresses are formatted as file type, slot number, and bit. The same thing we explained just now. The inputs and outputs are represented by squares and diamond. This is one more figure here we are using. Look at this figure. Inputs we are representing as the square symbol, and the outputs we are representing as the diamond symbol. See, L1 and L2 are the voltages that we are applying to these input and output devices to energize them. Then to apply the energy to these devices. Then this is a push button. Its input address is I:4/5. That means input, okay, slot number 4, bit number 5. Then for this switch LS1, I:4/6. That is input, that is slot number 4, bit number 6. Then output O:2/3. Okay, this is for the solenoid valve. It is a valve. Okay, solenoid is a valve. You know the solenoid valve, you may be aware of it. Okay, solenoid is a valve. Here we are in electrical, we are using the solenoid as it is nothing but as good as an electromagnet, just as good as a relay, right? But we can control the magnetic path that is set up due to the passing of the current through the coil. Okay, the magnet, how much amount of magnetism is induced or produced in the coil, that can be controlled. The magnetic field can be controlled. That is what is called as the solenoid. Okay. O:2/3. Then similarly O:3/6. It is the output. 3 stands for the slot number and 6 stands for the bit. Okay. Here this is a pilot light PL1. This is the symbol for the solenoid valve. Either it can be shown as a coil or in this way. Okay, both are one and the same. Okay. Remember here, inputs are represented by the square symbol and the outputs are represented by the diamond symbols. Okay. Next, branch instructions. In examination, if a question appears on instruction addressing, then first define what is instruction addressing, write the definition, okay, then explain with these figures, right, about what is meant by instruction addressing. Of course, it may be asked for 5 or 6 marks question. Next, branch instructions. Branch instructions are meant to create parallel paths. Parallel paths. If you look into this figure, there is a rung here. It's a single rung, and in that rung we are creating a parallel branch. This is the parallel branch B. The contact B, what we are seeing, right? It is a parallel path along with that of A. Okay, that is a called as the parallel branch or the branch instruction. Okay, so whatever branch instruction we have used here, we can repeat it or we can use it in any other form in the other parts of the program also. Okay, then this is a coil or the output. This allows more than one combination of input conditions or logic to establish logic continuity in the rung. When we use this parallel branch, how does it execute here? The function of this ladder diagram, when A is energized, the input A is energized, output coil C will be energized or output O will be energized, or when the B contact is energized, the output O will be energized. Okay, either of the two. When it is in parallel, this or this. Okay, when it is in series, it is AND combination. This and this and this and this, like this. Okay, that point you all have to remember here. The rung will be true if either instructions A or B is true. Correct. So these parallel branches can be used in our application programs so that we can make any combination out of these input conditions. Out of these branch conditions or branch instructions, we can make any combinations like this. We can make 3 branches, 4 branches, correct, or any other number of branches can be made with the branch instructions. Let us use a figure here. In this figure, so this is a figure where it is showing this is the contact A, this is the knot of B, because there is a crossed mark here. Okay, so when this contact A is energized and when knot of this contact B is energized, then the output D is energized. This is one condition. Another condition is, or when the contact C is energized, the output coil D is energized or the output device is turned on. This is the second condition. Okay, so the branch conditions work in this way. When they are connected in parallel, it is the OR state. When they are connected in series, it will be the AND of the conditions of each of the contacts. If none of the parallel branches complete a logical path, the same point is repeated again. Here we are using a parallel branch. Okay, right? If the continuity is not established, okay, if the continuity is not established, if there is a false condition at the input, then there will be no turning on of the output. If the condition is true, then there is logical continuity from this to this, then to the output, or from here to here through C to the output. Otherwise, there will be no logical connectivity. If either of the first path or the second path, none of them are true, the first path is also not true, the second path is also not true, then the output cannot be energized or the output will not be energized. Either one of the parallel branches should be activated so as to energize the output. Okay, in the example shown in figure below, either A and B or C provides logical continuity and energizes output D. There are certain branching the branching can be provided at the output also. Till now we have seen the branching being provided at the input side. The branching can also be provided at the output. Let us see that. Look here. Now how does this execute? When A is energized, C, D and E, all the three will be energized. Okay, this is how they are evaluated at the output side. Or when B is energized, input B is energized, all the three outputs C, D and E are energized. Like that. If A is also not energized, B is also not energized, then neither of these will be energized. Neither of C, D and E will be energized. This is how the branch conditions work at the output side. The branching at the output. There is more than one path. This is the first path, this is second path, and this is the third path at the output. In the example shown, either A or B provides a true logical path to all the three output instructions C, D and E. We can create additional conditions or the additional branching of the inputs at the output. Now what we have done, we have created branches at the input. That is the first point. Second point is we have created branches at the output. That is one thing. And the third one is the input contacts can be used to create branches at the output side. The input contacts can be used to create branches at the output side. Okay, that is the additional branch that can be created. Let us see how it is done. Look here. We are using the input contacts to create the branches at the output. Okay, so how does it work? Suppose if this condition you are evaluating, first path. So if this and this are true, and if this is true, then this output will be true. Okay, if this input is false, then this output will also be false. Suppose if you are considering the first path evaluating for the second branch at the output, if this and this and this are true, then also if this is true, this contact is true, then only the output coil will be energized. Okay, if this is false, then the output will not be energized. Okay, then for the parallel branch, how it will evaluate for this branch? If this and if this or this and this, okay, this and this and this, or this or this and this and this. If it is in series, you have to take it as and. If it is in parallel, you have to take it as or. Simple. Okay, if it is in series, you take it as an and combination. This and this and this. You are using logical AND gate, logical OR gate. You studied in your digital, in your electronic subject in your first year level. Correct? Where you have studied the different gates, AND gate, OR gate. So it is similar to that. Okay, AND function and OR function, or similar to your AND gate and the OR gate. Okay. When there is a true logic path, including extra input conditions on output branch, then that branch becomes true. In this example, we have shown either A and B or B and D provide a true logic path to E. There can be certain conditions in which the branching can be one inside another, like how we are using nested if-else statements. The nested if-else statements, how we are using: if condition equal to do, if condition equal to true, then do this. Else if this is the condition, do this. Else if, third branch, else if this condition is true, do this. Else if, like that. Last one will be else. Else if this condition is true, then come out of the loop or end the if statement. That is nested if else if statement or if else statement, the way in which it is used. Yes, similar to that, we can use the one branch within another branch. We can create one branch within another branch, which is called as nested branching. Nested branching. Okay, just as good as your if else if statement. Fine. Now, what is the advantage of using this type of one branch within another branch? Advantage is that, suppose if I'm using separate if statements instead of using if else if statement. If this condition is true, do this. If condition is true, do this. Second one. For the third, if this condition is true, do this. Then the number of statements will increase. The number of instructions will increase. Okay. If you are using if else if statement, that's only with the single if else if statement or with the single if else if state instruction, you'll be able to execute that part of the program, or you'll be able to write the logic for that part of the program. Okay. So it is as good as that. If there are nested branches, nested means what? One branch within another branch, like the if else if statement. Okay. So if there is nested branching, then the time taken for the processor to execute the instructions will be reduced. The processor speed will be increased. Time will be reduced. Hence, the speed will be increased. Lesser the time, more will be the speed. More the time taken, less will be the speed. They are inversely proportional to each other. Correct? The next figure illustrates nested input and output branches. A nested branch starts or ends within another branch. Let us look at the nested branching here. This is the nested branch. We have one branch within another branch. Okay, this is one branch. In that, and there is another branch. Okay, in the same branch we are having this, and again in that again there is one more branch. Okay, so like this there are one branch within another branches, and hence it is called as the nested branch. This figure shows the limitation of the PLC input contacts. How many contacts can be used at the maximum? Maximum we can use for the maximum 7 parallel lines, maximum 10 contacts in the ladder rung diagram. We cannot use more than this. There is certain limitation for that. Okay, because if you are using more than that, then the memory will not satisfy. The memory size will not support that many number of contacts. Okay, if we are using more number of contacts, the memory which is used for storing these contact addresses will not be sufficient, right? And hence we cannot use more than these many number of contacts. Maximum 7 parallel lines, maximum 10 contacts in one line. That means 70 contacts. 10 into 7, maximum 70 contacts you can connect to the ladder diagram, not more than this. There is a limitation for that, and this is called as a PLC matrix limitation diagram.
Sir,
I
whether
hope
the
you all are
PLC,
following. Yes, please.
sir, whether the relay logic diagram is, programming is like coding, or you have to do some circuit designs over there.
It is
Yes,
just
okay.
like your ladder diagram only. There we are using the relay symbols. Relay symbols that I explained at the beginning when explaining the that is the mixer control problem. There I have explained. See, the relay ladder diagram, it consists of various pressures which is indicated by a different diagram, temperatures which is indicated by a different diagram. Okay, it is as good as indicating the actual say what is the diagram for each of the switches. Okay, here what we are doing in ladder diagram, if there is a contact, then we are representing that by a contact. If there is a switch, okay, whether it is a push button switch or any other switch, we are representing just by a contact. There where it is not like that in relay diagram. For pressure switch we are indicating with a different one. For temperature switch we are indicating with a different figure, different representation is used. It is like that. So it differs, right? But here it is not like that. It is uniform. For all the input switches, they are represented by contacts. All the output devices, they are represented by coils. Clear? Got the point? My point is clear.
No, sir, I'm asking whether, see, in programming, in C programming, we write a code. No, sir.
Yes, yes. Like that you are
Yeah.
asking. Okay. Yes, I got it.
In ladder logic, we have to write the code, or we have to design the circuits. That I'm asking.
Correct. I'll just go through that point and I'll come back in the next class. Okay. I'll just collect few information about that point and I'll come back in the next class and I'll answer to that question to you. Is that okay?
Yes, sir, fine.
Okay, right. Okay, students. So that is about the PLC matrix limitation diagram. Okay. A typical example of this limitation is the contact C of the user program drawn in figure below. Okay. This is one more point.
There is no, sir.
Yes, please.
Is there no lab for this type of?
Lab is there, of course. Lab is there, but for your, syllabus, lab is not mentioned. Lab is there for this. We can conduct labs. Yes. can be conducted.
That's what practically is much better actually.
Possible, yes, of course, it is possible. Practically, it is possible, definitely. Hmm? Okay. So there is one limitation for using these branch instructions. We cannot make use of vertical contacts. Vertical contacts means like how we are using here. This is called as one vertical contact. Okay, vertical contact, using the contacts in this fashion, in between the paths, in between the branches, right? If this is the way in which they are connected, then it is the logic will be Boolean equation, y is equal to, just as good as your digital logic, your electronic, basic electronics, what you studied digital part, y is equal to this and this, that is AD plus, this is OR, parallel branch means OR, series means AND function, A into D, then parallel means OR, plus B, C, D, this, and this, plus B into E, these are in series. Okay, then again this combination, this and this, plus ACE. Okay, so they are saying that the limitation of the parallel branching is that the switches or the contacts cannot be connected in the vertical fashion like this. Okay, because that may consume more memory, and then say it may so happen that there may be some mismatch in the connections, or say something erroneous may happen, something error may take place, or error while doing the connections. Okay, so that may be the possibility. In order to avoid that, simple logic is used, that is the next one in the next figure. It's very simple. A into D, same logic again, Boolean equation remains the same, A into D, so it is AD, OR function plus BCD, so it is plus BCD, and BE. BE means it is in series, and function plus BE, and last one OR function plus ACE, plus ACE. So it's very simple, is it not? It looks very simple, right? So this is used, and this eliminates the vertical contact. Okay, which was the limitation in our previous figure. Okay. So this is about the how the PLC matrix limitation diagram, and limitation about the branch instruction of the ladder diagram, that is a vertical contact cannot be used. Instead of that, a simple connection is used in this fashion. It is reprogrammed to eliminate the vertical contact. Okay, so students, in today's class we have gone through the topics on relay type instructions. I'll just refresh it quickly. Relay type instructions. Okay, we have seen the various relay type instructions, that is OT, output energize, XIC, examine if closed, XIO, examine if open. Then later we have taken up instruction addressing. This figure we used to explain what is meant by instruction addressing. Okay, then we have explained also this, the inputs are represented by square and the outputs as diamonds. Then branch instructions. What is branch instruction? Creating parallel paths, we call it as branch instruction. The example we have given this simple figure about a branch, single branch. Okay, then we have explained various points about the branch instructions, considering many path branch instructions. Okay, then what will happen if they are connected with the many branches? How will be the logic? How will be the input conditions? How will be the output conditions when they are connected in branch instructions, in the form of branch instructions? Okay, then later on we have explained the same input contact can be connected at the output also in the form of a branch. Then there can be nested branches, one branch within another branch. Okay. Then later on the PLC matrix limitation diagram, which limits on the number of contacts that can be connected in one single ladder diagram, how many maximum we can connect. Then the limitation of the nested branch is that we cannot connect the vertical contact in this fashion. Okay, and instead of that, it is reprogrammed, or the switch contacts are rearranged to be connected in a simple way in this fashion. Okay, I hope you all have understood, students. Any difficulty here, students? Inoch, any other questions? Inoch, was it
No,
understood,
sir.
Inoch? Okay,
Yes.
fine. Okay, Basoraj.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Understood. Okay. Haldankar Pratik, Jitendra. Haldankar Pratik Jitendra.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Clear with the concepts, Haldankar Pratik Jitendra?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Saval. Was it understood, Saval? Today's discussion? Saval. Okay. Praveen Helavi. Praveen.
Yes, sir.
Was it clear? Any problem in understanding, Praveen? Anything not understood? Anything like that? Praveen?
No, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Prasad Hiremat. Any difficulty here, Prasad, in today's discussion?
Sir, everything.
Okay. Okay, fine.
No, sir, no.
Okay, fine,
Okay.
students. Then we'll continue in the next class, students. Probably I may take one extra class. Okay, I'll inform you all. So as to complete this module, right? I'll inform in prior to you all. Okay, and hardly I think I require another 1 hour or so to complete this module. Okay, thank you, students.